you never can really tell what the outcome of certain things might be, because your mind, where the battle is focused on the lack that the enemy has placed in front of you. Sometimes it might not even be the enemy. It might be as a result of the decisions that you have made. You have placed yourself in that place of lack. My name is Obo Joseph, and you're welcome to House of Utterance. It's such a great time to be alive. Great things happening across the country. The economic crisis, people are thinking, where's the next meal going to come from? Petrol subsidy removal. People are wondering, how do I pay for my transportation? Like, there is so much doubt out there, and the propensity for people to focus on lack is almost at the highest peak. Because what the devil does, as he did in the Garden of Eden, was to change the focus of Eve from the abundance that God had placed in the garden, for her to then begin to focus on the lack of permission that God gave. God definitely didn't give permission for Eve to eat from the fruit in the middle of the garden. For Eve to have gotten to the middle of the garden, it only meant that she would have had to pass through a lot of all the wonderful trees that God had created. And don't forget, the serpent was such a cool dude, such a conversational, character, someone who had the gift of gab to be able to convince Eve as to why she needed to eat from that fruit. So the game plan is this. These are times when people are going to be focusing so much on their lack that you don't have food on your table, you don't have petrol, you are hemmed in at home, you cannot do the basic things that normally you would be able to do. And as a result of that, you fall into that space that the enemy has created, that space where the enemy thrives the most. And I call it a temptation, the temptation that makes you to focus on your lack. Just come to think about it. Sometimes, like yesterday, I just got to a point where I was really tired. I was like, what's really going on? I'm putting my hands on some stuff, things not necessarily happening the way I want them to, because the devil had made me to focus on lack. And I sat down, I got back from work, I went upstairs, I locked myself in. My son came forward. I said, please, I need time. I just need to be alone. I chased everyone out, and I began to spend time alone. And all of a sudden, I watched a video on YouTube, and, the YouTuber was talking about the concept of wealth. And I realized that, oh my God, this is the devil, this is the enemy, making me to focus on my lack. Maybe lack of finances for me at the time to be able to meet certain needs that I had. And God had to begin to redirect my vision, redirect my mindset. And I began to think, but I have this going for me. I have that going for me. I have this going. In fact, as at the time I was done, I realized that I was in a place where my inability to deploy the assets that God has given to me was the reason why I found myself in that small enclosed space. If the devil wants to hit you, he's only looking for that enclosure, that enclosed space is where the enemy is rightly, having the greatest strength that he has over you. So you must begin to realize, what are the 3 things that you can actually do when you find yourself in that place of lack? You find yourself in that temptation, falling into, that tempting road, and you never can really tell what the outcome of certain things might be, because your mind, where the battle is focused on the lack that the enemy has placed in front of you. Sometimes it might not even be the enemy. It might be as a result of the decisions that you have made. You have placed yourself in that place of lack. So I have a remedy for you, and I hope you try it out. The first thing is this. You must realize that you are in that place. The second thing you have to do, once you realize, then you now begin to identify other aspects of your life that do not exude that spirit of lack. You begin to think, you begin to come up with a grateful heart. What are those things around me that are working? Is my marriage working? Are my children healthy? Do I have food on the table? Do I have a little petrol in my car? Because that's a factor right now. Petrol is now like a very big deal. Once you identify all the assets you have, like in your business, you have like a call list, you have emails that you are not deploying, you have many things around your business that are actually assets, but you are actually focused. Because the enemy wants you to focus, you are focused on those things that would cause you so much more pain. So once you identify all the things that you have, the next thing is for you to move to the level of deployment. You begin to deploy these assets. You begin to push those things to work. As you are pushing them to work, your mind is getting more renewed. You are getting better. You're getting more confident. As you begin to do that, then you move to stage 3. Stage 3 has to do with when you begin to reap. The Bible talks about the reapers and the sowers. You cannot expect to reap when you have not sowed. So rule number 1, identify. Rule number 2, after you've done all the identification, you begin to deploy. Then you now get into the place where you have now come to a place where you are reaping what you have deployed. And that is a place of fulfillment. That is a place that you've come into, that you're beginning to get, the positive vibes. Positive things are happening, you are excited, and you're getting your joy back. So I encourage you as a believer, these are times when the enemy is trying to make us to focus on the wrong things. It's your job to keep your mind right. And never forget, whenever you get to that point where you're beginning to doubt the favor and the grace of God over your life, just tell yourself one thing: you need a second. It's a second flip around. Once you flip that thought process, and the easiest way to do so, you can you can read your Bible, you can listen to a YouTube video that has to do with renewing your mind or has to do with wealth creation. Those things are so powerful. These were the tools I used yesterday to just get my mind renewed, and I'm so excited, and I thank God I'm looking into the future with a new mindset, a new positivity, and I can tell definitely that you can feel this energy. And as you feel this energy, may God begin to open your eyes to things that you've looked away from, so that you can get back on track and make your life a beautiful one. God bless you. I'll see you on the next video.